line of company.
Tonight on Ctv3 News, the Commission of Inquiry into the Sugar Industry steps into Santander's sugar factory after they are sworn in. Will the heavy downpours over the last few days save us from load shedding? The chairman of BEL has the answer. He also tells us if Belizeans can experience an increase in their light bill in the near future. And the country joins the globe in celebrating World Day Against Child Labor. These are some of the stories we have for you tonight in our newscast for Wednesday, June 12th, 2024.
As the BMDC, we are the marketing arm for the Ministry of Agriculture, so we have to ensure there is food security. And secondly, we have to ensure that there are markets for the local produce. So what we do in this case, with food security, whenever there is no local production, we are the importing body. When it comes now to markets for farmers, most of the time, as I mentioned, if there is not enough production in the country, we would import part of it and we would buy that from the remainder from the farmers. In that case, we assure them that there is a market for their produce.
3 years ago, BMDC was not what it is right now, believe me. You know, we have invested heavily in all branches, and especially in the Big Falls branch and the Orange Walk branch, to equip our facilities for growth and for more farmers to come into stream. The greatest impact is in the rice industry. When we started, there was a production of 300,000 pounds of rice paddy. This year, we're expecting 3.5 to 4 million pounds of rice paddy.
The other line of product that we are dealing with is the Belize Jewels fruit pulps. This is something that is new on the pipeline. We deal with the small farmers. We buy the pulps from them, we package it, and then we have it for our local market. All of this is an effort to ensure that we have a market for these fruits that would otherwise have been wasted if we weren't doing the pulping at the moment. When it comes to beekeeping, the BMDC has improved on its installations at the Orange Walk branch, where we have our buying center.
We sell to marketing board with contract. So whatever we produce, they buy from us.
The BMDC doing a very good job, yes. They buy our rice and they pay we. We don't have to wait to piece payment. They pay we 60% and at 2-3 months they give you the next rest.
We deliver our products to them and they pay us one time and look like the rice financial is going up and look like it's helping us a lot.
We make wise decisions as a business entity to ensure that the farmers benefit, and at the same time we make an income out of it to be able to do more projects.
Fast approaching Pro FC is back in Orange Walk Town on Saturday, June 15th inside the Orange Walk Multi-Purpose Complex, exclusively on Channel 53 on Centaur.
El siguiente es un comunicado de St. Francis Xavier Credit Union Limited. Reunión especial. Comunicado a los miembros. Estimados miembros, en conformidad con la sección 61.8 de la Ley de Uniones de Crédito, el registrador de uniones de crédito ha otorgado aprobación al administrador para que se lleve a cabo una reunión especial. Dicha reunión se llevará a cabo el domingo 16 de junio del 2024 a las 10 de la mañana en el auditorio Hugo J. González en el Centro Escolar México Junior College, aldea de San Román en el distrito de Corozal. Todos los miembros están invitados a asistir a la reunión especial, ya que el administrador proporcionará una actualización sobre los asuntos de la unión de crédito. Se requiere que los miembros presenten sus libretas y una identificación válida para registrarse. Los arreglos de transporte se anunciarán en una fecha posterior. Mensaje del administrador St. Francis Xavier Credit Union Limited.
Good evening with your news. Also simulcast on Fiesta FM 106.7. I am Joanna Rodriguez. The commissioners who will be participating in the Commission of Inquiry into the sugar industry in Belize were officially sworn in this morning at the Magistrate Court in Belmopan. The commission, as we have reported, is comprised of Wayne Piper, who is serving as chairman, along with 5 commissioners, namely Robert Marit and Vinod Ramari, Jeffrey Joseph from Belize, Andy Church from South Africa, and Simon Gibbons from the United Kingdom. Lorena Posada is serving as secretary to the commission, while Hugh O'Brien serves as lead coordinator for the government of Belize. Following their inaugural meeting in late May, today the commissioners went straight into site visits, with the Santander sugar mill and sugar fields being the first. The commissioners are expected to be in Orange Walk at the Belize Sugar Industries Mill in Tower Hill later this week. While the commission has officially begun their work, there are concerns by some within the sugar industry, particularly about the role of the industry. BSI-ASR in particular has been vocal about the proposed work of the commission, which they say is to delve into private and confidential matters of the business. As the commission now begins its work in the industry, today the Prime Minister, while acknowledging the concerns of the northern millers, assured that the team that make up the commission are highly skilled and knowledgeable in the field of sugar, and have assured that a report will be produced by the end of November.
Well, I think any private company can make whatever statement they believe that is in their interest, and they've been saying it from day one that certain information they were not prepared to provide. So it's no surprise. What is important, though, is that the commissioners that we got are highly qualified. They're very skilled in what they're doing, and they believe that they will be able to come up with a report within the allotted, I think, it's 6 months. They believe that they probably can do it even before then.
Over the last few days, the country has been receiving some much-needed showers. For the country's electricity company, BEL, the inclement weather could not have appeared at a better time, as most dams that provide electricity to the national grid were running dry. In the case of Fortis Dam Hydroelectric Reservoir, the management had indicated that water was only available for 2 more weeks. With dry dams, BEL indicated power outages may be extensive and more frequent. But with the recent rains, can Belizeans still face a rationing of power? Yes, we can, says BEL's chairman Andrew Marshallek.
I think you're in a precarious position through July, June, July. It has to be managed very closely, but I think we've been managing. Well, what I mean is that the available capacity is very close to what the system is demanding, so that the possibility of something going wrong and falling short is real. That's what I mean by precarious. The way you solve that is you need more capacity, because you need redundancy. You need capacity sitting and waiting for when one fails, you turn the other one on, you fix it, and the supply isn't disrupted. We don't have that. We barely have enough to meet demand, and that'll be so until the reservoirs are flush with water again, maybe about September with the rains.
So if we don't get a lot of rains right now, how long more do we have before the reservoir is?
Well, we've been managing it because we know the reservoirs are low. We try not to use the dams for power. It's only if something else cuts off, then we will turn it on, and then it uses the water. So we're trying to conserve how we use that.
And while Belizeans have been investing in solar lights and solar panels to keep the lights on, that is not the solution to the nation's electricity issue, says Marshallek.
I've heard this I've heard people express views that this is your solution. Solar can't be a solution. It's not the solution to anything. It's a solution. It can contribute to a overall positive outcome, but in and of itself, it can't solve anything. I can demonstrate this easily for you. Assume we had no grid, no generation capacity at all, and all Belizeans would buy solar panels to put on their roof to provide electricity. You have 125 megawatts capacity in solar panels. Solar panel gives 100 watts each. It's about $550 million of solar panels you need. Not even wires, inverters, all the rest. That, by the way, is every last dollar saved by every last Belizean in this country in the banking system right now. So let's put it in perspective. Even if you were to say, go ahead, everybody, put solar panels on your... Everybody don't have the capacity. They don't have the capacity to do that. Some people have more capacity than others. But assume everybody does. Find that money and put those panels on their roofs. And we're getting electricity from these panels. I ignore for simplification that you need inverters, that you need charge controllers, that you need wires. I forget those. You have your panels. Solve your electricity problem. It solves it from when the sun comes up to when the sun goes down at night. So what do you do at night time?
You need batteries.
So you need batteries in addition to your panels. When you buy batteries in addition to panels, the cost of production of electricity actually exceeds what you're buying electricity from right now from BL. We estimate that price per kilowatt hour $2 plus per kilowatt hour, not 40 cents. Batteries isn't a solution for you. So you need batteries, which cost a lot of money. Or you might decide you need a generator to turn on at night. Whatever you do, or a combination of the two to cover you the 12 hours while you sleep. The cost of the solar is only a fraction of your overall electricity solution. It covers you for about half the day. Doesn't solve your problem. You need all the other infrastructure to support it. The batteries, the generator, the lines, the distribution system to move it from one person to the other. You need that support as well to make solar work in an overall system. All of that other supporting our infrastructure also has a cost. So when people talk about the cost of power from solar, you're talking about the cost of buying the panels, the inverters, and producing electricity. But you ignore entirely the cost of the supporting infrastructure to make it work in the way that we're all used to the system working.
In the month of March of this year, BL made it known to the Belizean people via a press release that it had sent in an application to the Public Utilities Commission for the period of September 1st, 2024 to June 30th, 2028 to maintain the mean rate of electricity at 40 cents per kilowatt hour. But with so many challenges facing the utility environment, could Belizeans be facing an increase in electricity rate? According to Chair of BL Board of Directors Andrew Marshallek, the company has been bearing the cost to keep the lights on, but there is no telling for how much longer they will be able to do so.
The entire 5-year plan, and by the way, we have maintained rates from pre-COVID right through to today the same. There has been no rate increase. BL has been bearing all those rate increases on behalf of the public, and we've actually borne it to the extent where it's nearly depleted your cash resources. The amount that consumers owe BL for the electricity we provided this year alone is projected to be $100 million. BL has been bearing that for consumers, and I see people talk about BL wanting to profit from consumers. Well, far from it. You have been taking BL's resources for the electricity you are currently using. The price for power from CFE during all these cuts went as high as $1.05 US per kilowatt hour, while we're charging you 40 cents for it. Who do you think has to pay the difference?
We are going to pay it back later though.
Yes, but for now, who's paying it now? Who has to find it now? Those bills have to be settled every month. I don't get to wait. I don't get to tell CFE, wait until the consumer gives me and then I pay. I have to pay it. And then I get to get it back down the road from you through a reasonable rate. But there is no, the entire business plan for BL was premised on keeping rates stable because we see that as critical in this environment. We want to help our consumers. We're not working against consumers. We're championing the cause of consumers. We wanted to keep rates stable, anchor prices, so creates a downward pressure on inflation. Everything else is going up. You don't need utilities going up too. But in order to achieve that, there's only one way to do it in a financially sustainable way. And this is what we've been saying for the past 2 years, and it goes unnoticed apparently. We can only keep doing that if you introduce into the system cheaper sources of generation. That means you need to give me power that I can buy at less than that 40 cents so that I can supply that 40 cents. And then we can take the difference between the two and I can start bringing down all the excesses that I've had to bear.
Coming up next, we learn more about child labor and what the Preseni administration is doing to end it. Stay tuned.
The Orange Walk Clinical Lab Summer Promotion 2024 is here. Get your summer promotion on glucose, cholesterol, triglyceride and hemoglobin for only $20. Also fantastic promotions on prostate PSA for only $50. We also have other packages on promotion. We also provide DNA paternity testing. We take this opportunity to inform the general public in the Orange Walk District that we are an approved NHI lab service provider. So for all your NHI lab tests, just visit your NHI medical provider and visit us at the Orange Walk Clinical Laboratory. We take care of all your NHI lab tests. Results are provided the same day. Come visit us on number 20 San Antonio Road, Orange Walk Town. Call for details at 322-0423 or 600-2727. Call 630-1479. Remember, don't wait for symptoms. Check your health today. The Orange Walk Clinical Laboratory.
Earlier this week, Cabinet offered details about a very disturbing incident which occurred at the San Ignacio Community Hospital on June 1st, where medical personnel were held hostage by gang elements. That incident has been paired with an increased number of criminal activity in the western part of the country. Following that troubling incident, today Prime Minister John Briceño announced that his government has undertaken decisive action to combat gang activities across the country.
Well, we have always been very concerned about crime. And in my meeting with President Bukele, there's one thing that stood out when he said to me, he says, sin paz no hay desarrollo. Without peace, we can't have development. We can have the most thriving economy going, but if we can't control crime in this country, they're going to leave. Nobody's going to come to Belize. Tourists will not come, investments will not come. People in Belize are going to shut down their investments. I say that not that we're not there, nowhere close to that, but to make the point that we're taking it very serious. Yesterday we have decided that we're going to go after these gangs. And the law is very clear that if you're a gang member, you can get 10 years imprisonment, and if you're a head of a gang member, you can get as much as 20 years. Unfortunately, for one reason or the other, and I have to be very careful how I say this, for whatever reason, the police department took 2 gang members to court in San Pedro. They admitted, or they have accepted that they're guilty, and they were just given a $1,500 fine. And I believe that we can't, that's a slap in the people of San Pedro, because these gangs have been terrorizing the people in San Pedro. So we have said that we are going to go after them. We cannot allow a small group of people to terrorize this country. And we're even talking about maybe even amending the law to ensure that once you're a gang member and you're found guilty, that you are going to go to jail.
Following the occurrence, Cabinet has also directed that teams from the Ministry of Health and Wellness and the Ministry of Home Affairs conduct an immediate assessment of security protocols at the San Ignacio Community Hospital and all public health facilities to ensure the safety of medical practitioners, staff, and patients. June 12th is celebrated around the world as World Day Against Child Labor. The celebration of this day serves as a reminder of the importance of ending child labor and providing a better life for children worldwide. This year, the event is being celebrated under the theme, Let's Act on Our Commitments, End the Child Labor. Since the start of the month of June, the Ministry of Labor has been engaged in information sessions in every municipality across the country with the goal of spreading awareness against child labor and promoting child welfare and development. Today, as Belize joins in with the rest of the world to celebrate World Day Against Child Labor, the Ministry of Rural Transformation, Community Development, Labor, and Local Government, Honorable Oscar Kenya, today issued a special message highlighting the works of our government towards ending child labor.
First, I am pleased to announce Belize's membership in the Regional Initiative Latin America and the Caribbean Free of Child Labor. This collaborative effort, initiated on May 24, 2023, highlights our commitment to join forces with 31 other countries in combating child labor. Through this partnership, we are contributing resources and expertise to implement targeted interventions addressing the root causes of child labor. In collaboration with the National Commission for Families and Children, extensive education and sensitization sessions have been conducted in rural communities where child labor is most likely to occur and in high schools countrywide. These sessions have focused on educating students and communities about the importance of education and the dangers of child labor. To reinforce its commitment, the Labor Department spearheaded a child labor awareness and education campaign with support from the ILO. 19 high schools and thousands of students were provided with child labor education sessions.
Additionally, the government of Belize has been working towards free education for every high school student in our country, which also helps towards the reduction of instances of child labor.
The Labor Department has also signed memorandums of understanding with key associations in the sugar and citrus industries. These agreements aim to address child labor practices and achieve their elimination from these vital sectors. We continue to carry out child labor inspections along with special joint inspections coordinated with strategic partners. These efforts are aimed at ensuring compliance with child labor laws and identify any instances of exploitation. Additionally, capacity building workshops for frontline workers were held, resulting in enhanced awareness and skills among personnel from various sectors. This approach facilitated a more comprehensive and effective response to the issue of child labor. The Labor Department is currently conducting a comprehensive review of the Labor Act and will review legislation related to child labor. Key areas identified for urgent attention include defining light work, hazardous work, and the worst forms of child labor, along with increasing penalties for employing children and amending record-keeping regulations. The Ministry of Labor works closely with all our stakeholders, such as the Ministry of Human Development, National Committee for Families and Children, UNICEF, Police Department, ATIPS Committee, Child Development Foundation, and the National Labor Committee, among others, to implement the National Child Labor Policy and Strategy 2022-2025. Regarding education, the government's medium-term development strategy, in alignment with Plan Belize, has allocated an additional $4 million to expand the free education program to schools in the south side of Belize City and the Toledo district. This investment underscores Belize's dedication to providing access to quality education for all children, thereby reducing the likelihood of their involvement in child labor.
Ending child labor in our country is a goal which can only be achieved if our population is educated about this common practice and steps we can take to ensure our children do not fall victims to child labor. Last week, representatives of the Orange Walk Labor Department were on our morning show to share more about child labor and what we can do as citizens to stop this old age practice. As we celebrate World Day Against Child Labor, today we revisit some of the crucial information which was shared during that session about what child labor is and what we can do to prevent it.
One of the things that we would advise is that all situations are different when it comes to children employing. So a child can be working at, for example, a business, and we will see it a lot when it comes to summer. They'll be engaging in maybe summer jobs. So what we advise is that their guardian or parent would visit the department and basically express the interest of their child to work. This again would have to be accompanied with the support of the person who they will be working with. So they have to express this information to the department, and we have to again verify that this person is going to be working. For example, children may engage to work during summer jobs more than likely at cashiering, stocking shelves at the stores. However, a lot of them because children are developing during that certain age, they're not allowed to do heavy lifting. So, for example, warehouse work where they will be lifting maybe sacks of sugar, flour, that would then be prohibited. Maybe they can do inventory at the warehouse, but not actually lifting heavy loads. So when they come to the department, we have to verify the type of work as well as the payment. The regulation is the same
regardless.
Wage. Yes.
Really?
Currently, yes.
Oh, really?
So we also have to check on that. So I can't run down all types of jobs, but I would encourage them to visit the department, and then we could see.
Exactly.
A child cannot go on their own and ask for employment. They have to receive the consent of their parent to do so.
Now, while having your child engage in light chores at home is encouraged, it is important for parents to know when they have crossed that thin line to what is considered child labor.
Is because we need to create awareness and explain to them what exactly is. So a child doing their bed, sweeping the house is not considered child labor. We encourage that type of work because we're teaching responsibility to our children. However, the type of work that you task your child to do, the hours of work that they're working, is one of the factors. So for instance, because a minor, let's say that you have a night bar establishment, your child will not be allowed to work there.
Obviously.
So because of the ambience that you have, the working hours, and the type of, maybe
alcohol,
you sell liquor, so it wouldn't be allowed. So when explaining to parents that they do, I will say that they do agree with the fact that they're all for their children and protecting their children, and they're all for having, that their children have the best, and that comes with education. So they are allowed to teach the trades, like I mentioned, just in a way where the child is not exposed to any sort of danger. So a lot of schools in Belize, Orange Rock, we have ITVT, they do teach trades, so they're supervised. So that is allowed.
To learn more about child labor, you can visit the Labor Department here in Orange Walk Town or their official website at ruraltransformation.gov.bz. There is no doubt that Belize has grown exponentially since it obtained its independence on September 21st, 1981. Fast forward to 2024, the country, like any other developing nation, has a number of issues to solve. Some of them will take political reform, judiciary review, among other legal engagements in order to be resolved. In Indian Creek Village in the Toledo district, the appointment of a new alcalde and a deputy by the Attorney General at the request of community members has ended up in court. The villagers applied to the Attorney General's ministry last year to have former alcalde Jose Truck and deputy alcalde Felipe Sam replaced. Truck, along with the Toledo Alcaldes Association, are now challenging the decision in court. The hearing began today, and what the Toledo Alcaldes Association seeks is a change in the Village Councils Act and the Inferior Courts Act in order for Mayan communities to have a wider governance of their communities. Senior Counsel Andrew Marshallek is representing the government of Belize. He explains the situation in great detail.
The origin of the argument is that the Attorney General had removed and appointed new alcaldes in the village of Indian Creek.
Why not reorder elections?
Well, it's not about reordering elections, it's about the village council, who's duly elected in the village, recommending one set of people to be alcalde, and the village meeting, which is what the other group call it, have recommended other people to be alcaldes. So it's a conflict between two groups within the same village, and the issue for the government is whose recommendation do I pay heed to when making the appointments, whether it's a duly elected village council or whether it is votes from village meeting, which they say is their customary practice.
How is it that the government can intervene in customary practices such as the alcalde system?
How is it?
Yeah.
The Inferior Courts Act provides for the government to appoint an alcalde to preside over the alcalde jurisdiction court, which is a court equivalent of a magistrate's court. So it's basically the same way it intervenes to appoint magistrates over your magistrate's court who preside over you. It is an exercise of the sovereign right to govern this territory.
So it went with the the recommendations of the village council.
Yes.
Why not the village meeting if you're talking about alcaldes?
Well, they put alcalde is just a name. You see, that's part of the problem. You also talk, but the alcalde is the judicial officer that presides over the alcalde jurisdiction court. None of us as Belizeans get to elect who our judges are. It's not a right that exists here. In some jurisdiction it does. In the US, for instance, you vote for your judge. Here you don't. They're appointed, and the appointment processes are different. They're governed by the Constitution. In this case, the Inferior Courts Act provides for the Attorney General to make the appointment. That act is very old. He's always made the appointments.
Is this
While some might suggest confusion, Marshallek shut down that notion, citing one constitution which outlines the laws of the land. The Constitution says Marshallek does not speak about two systems.
The government has always made the appointments.
But on recommendation of that village meeting.
Well,
so
that's what they
but
say. That's what they say. They say that the government can't appoint unless they recommend. We say absolutely not. The government has the statutory authority to appoint.
So then you're violating the people's will.
Are you?
Because it's the people who are part of that village meeting and make the decision.
Well,
the
as far as I know,
government
the
should
people.
not make the decision
As far as I
for
know,
them.
the people elected the government.
No, but yeah, but there are two systems. So by you saying
No,
that,
no.
then
What you're trying to do,
negating
what
the
you're trying to
alcalde
do,
system.
is to establish a different governance system for Maya people in Belize and challenge the sovereign authority of the government of Belize to govern these people in ways that conflict with customary rules. It's a challenge to sovereignty.
does the context of the customary land right tenure discussions kind of exasperates the situation as it stands, a decision being made by government within this context?
No, it's part and parcel of the same problem, coming at it from a different perspective. This issue is already slated for legislation as a part of the fixing and recognizing of Maya customary land rights. You see, the rights have to be exercised by the village, so there has to be a village-making authority that gets to make the decision, and the law has to recognize those decisions. Right now, there's no such law, so a law will be passed to deal with this as part of the Maya land rights, so that if that comes before this case is litigated, it might well supersede it. If it comes after, the effects of any decision passed here might be short-lived.
As per the TAA's attorney, Senior Counsel Godfrey Smith, the alcalde system is not referred to in Belize laws. However, internationally there exists treaties Belize supports. The same happens for the customary land tenure.
Essentially, the government is saying, listen, you come here to court arguing about alcaldes having customary practices and rights. No such thing exists in the laws of Belize. You won't find anything about alcaldes' customary practices in Village Councils Act and the Inferior Courts Act. And the state has the sovereign right to legislate, and this is the law of the land. And our response to that is and will be developed that in the same way that way back when the Maya first advocated for protection of customary land tenure, it wasn't recognized in the laws of Belize. So too, we are saying that the right of their villages to exclusively determine who will be their alcaldes and the right to remove them vests in the village, not by virtue of any written law of the land, but by a process of constitutional interpretation, utilizing international treaty obligations and international customary law, as has been done when it came to the court's recognition of the Maya right to customary land tenure. That's the essence, I think, of the argument. That will come.
And then the injunction will remain in place until
the matter is heard and determined fully.
But no date yet set for that.
No date set for that, except we are to file. Remember, this was just a permission stage. Mm-hmm. We are to file in 14 days our substantive claim.
A date is yet to be determined for the initiation of judicial review by the High Court of Belize. A collective bargaining agreement, CBA, between the Government of Belize and the Public Service Union, PSU, the Belize National Teachers Union, BNTU, and the Association of Public Service Senior Managers, APSSM, was signed today at the House of Culture in Belize City. This significant agreement was signed after years of negotiations. Present at today's signing was the Prime Minister, Honorable John Briceño, along with a host of government representatives, including lead for the government in the joint negotiations, Deputy Prime Minister Cordell Hyde. Also present were representatives of the joint unions. Following the milestone signing, Prime Minister Briceño shared the significance of the agreement for both the government and the unions.
That we are a government committed to doing what is right, that we are a government that's committed to our workers, and that we made certain commitments to the union when we needed help, when we just got into government. And lastly, it is the right thing to do, and that is why we managed to finally come bringing that this agreement to an end, which is unfortunately the next 2 months the time period will end and we'll have to start a new cycle.
So the Africans say you talk till you agree. I subscribe to that, and so oftentimes you would have very long meetings, 6 hours, 8 hours. We talk through things. That's the only way you're going to solve problems. You can't solve problems by not talking, by not engaging, by not trying to understand each other, and understanding that you won't get everything you want. You'll get some, but you won't get everything you want. But I think that we always operated in an atmosphere of respect and cordiality, and it got tested many times, because I think sometimes folks feel like it doesn't get tested because we always seem to be smiling. But we have to smile through pressure too, you know. But it got tested. The issues, they have their core ideology. They know what is non-negotiable for them, and we have to navigate that, because lots of times our situation is dictated by the economic situations, the economic realities, and the truth is that we inherited a very, very rough one 4 years ago, you know. So we talked, and we'll continue talking, because we have a lot more talking to do. There's a lot more issues to take on.
Now, while the duly signed agreement will expire in a few months, Minister Hyde says it is a significant achievement as it gave way to resolve the issue of Proposal 22 concerning secondary school teachers not employed by the government.
Substantive too, because the truth is there was a big sticking issue for all these years, for 16 years. The Proposal 22, which is a very costly one, as the Prime Minister pointed out. Over a 5-year period, it's going to cost $68 million. No government was willing or able to countenance that over this long period of time. But it was absolutely important to them. I can tell you sometimes things got really, really tested over that issue, even within the unions themselves. But it's the right thing to do. Ultimately, you have teachers working for many years in the service, working at institutions where they are getting 70% of their salary from government, 30% from private owners, and then when they retire, they can only get the 70% pension from government, and the private owners are not the private owners, but the church owners. They don't pay. They are not able to pay, they say. And so these people, after giving all their lives to public service, I mean, it doesn't get any better than that when you're a teacher and giving so much of your time, so much of your effort, so much of your being to teaching, oftentimes at the expense of your own family, your own children. And then when you retire, you can't get what you deserve. That's a very difficult situation, and so I'm glad that we're in a position to get some agreement, that the government was able to agree that, you know what, that's not going to happen again going forward. Going forward, teachers, all support staff at the high schools, at the tertiary level schools, are going to get their full pension.
The signing of this agreement, according to the Prime Minister, also brings to light the matter of the wage bill and pensions for public officers, which his government is currently working on reforming to ensure its sustainability.
That has not changed, and in my remarks I mentioned to it, and it's something that has to be addressed. And so we are addressing it right now when it comes to the issue of the pensions that is unsustainable. And we've had a number of discussions with the unions, and the unions have already agreed in principle that that the pension as it stands right now is unsustainable, and that we are coming up with an agreement as to where is going to be the cutoff date as to who will stay on the present system and who will come on the new system.
The new system of pensions.
The new system of pensions, yes. And so we are committed to it, and that has not changed. Now, why is it that we managed to be able to afford this, although despite with sacrifice? It's simply because, well, the economy has been growing rather fast, and we've been trying to control expenses as best as we possibly can, and so because of that, and also we must recognize the tremendous work that Minister Fonseca did as the Minister of Education, because then he started to look at his budget and did some reallocations within the budget to be able to help to be able to pay these pensions. That was the right thing, that it was not fair to these teachers that were retiring, but because they were in a grant-aided school, they were not in secondary and tertiary institutions, were unable to get their pensions.
But sir, how much of this goodwill you are showing today, how much of that is sort of paying it forward for the difficulties that may be anticipated in adjusting that thing that public officers work for their whole life? That's why people join public service, non-contributory pensions.
Well, as I said, they've already accepted the principle, and they have accepted that we will change. They know that it is unsustainable. At the rate it is going, I think by next year or the year before, we're going to be at about $125 million, and it continues to balloon. I remember when then Prime Minister Musa and I spoke about it, I think it was around 2004. It was around $30 million, and we said we need to do something about it. Unfortunately, other events took over, and we were unable to address it. And the previous government, for whatever reason, chose not to address it. We are addressing it. It's not an easy one. It's not going to be a walk in the park, but we believe that there's enough goodwill on both ends, on both sides, both the unions and the government, for us to be able to find a sustainable solution to this problem.
And there is more news after the break. Stay tuned.
Pro FC is here on Saturday, June 15th. Pro FC is back in Orange Walk Town inside the Orange Walk Multi-Purpose Complex. Pro FC 12, Vasquez versus Aguilar. For the main event, we have the 145 pounds professional MMA fight between undefeated Belizean MMA star Frank Mac Vasquez versus Mexico's Ari El Trompito Aguilar. We also have 8 other exciting MMA fights, including Orange Walk's very own 135 pounds champion Jalen Perez, as he takes on the #1 ranked fighter in Central America, Christian Centeno from Nicaragua, in a fight that will determine the #1 bantamweight in the entire Latin America region. It's going to be a night filled with exciting MMA action from start to finish. Doors open at 6:30 p.m. and the event starts at 7:30 p.m. sharp. General admission tickets are available at the Shell One Stop gas station in Orange Walk Town or from any Pro FC fighter. VIP tickets are by WhatsApp reservations only. 670-0716. Pro FC, Belize Premier MMA League.
Former CEO in the Ministry of Finance, Economic Development and Investment, Dr. Osborne Martinez, won a convention over the weekend to become the official candidate for the People's United Party in the Toledo East constituency. That constituency, as viewers may be aware, is gearing up for a by-election following the untimely passing of Mike Espat, who represented the constituency for 6 terms. With the convention to select a new candidate now complete, Prime Minister John Briceño says a date has been set for the election in early July.
Yes, I think we're looking at, I don't know if I should say it now. You should. No, I've asked for the writ to be prepared, and the date that I have set after consulting with the Elections and Boundaries Commission to see when they could get ready the voters list. I want to have it as early as possible. The date is going to be July 17th, which is going to be on my birthday, so I'll be working on that day in Toledo East.
The Toledo East constituency will also be contested by Dennis Williams of the United Democratic Party. As part of the U.S. Embassy's commitment to enhancing security cooperation throughout the region, the U.S. Bureau of International Narcotics and Law Enforcement Affairs, INL, Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, ATF, and the U.S. Southern Command, SOUTHCOM, have provided the government of Belize with capability enhancement, which includes IT equipment, vehicle maintenance equipment, boat engines, and a bomb disposal suit. The support was given to the Belize Joint Intelligence Operations Center, Belize Coast Guard, and Belize Defense Force. The U.S. government donation valued at $616 million is part of the U.S. commitment and partnership with Belize in addressing transnational criminal threats, border security, and national security. This donation provides resources to support Belize's joint intelligence, interagency collaboration, and intelligence-driven operations while assisting in the fight against transnational crime. In her keynote address, Ambassador Michelle Kwan highlighted the success of Belize's joint law enforcement agencies in addressing transnational criminal threats through collaborative operations such as those coordinated through the GIOC. Highlighting the participation of various U.S. government agencies in the donation event, she underscored the importance of confronting these challenges with a coordinated multi-agency approach. GIOC Director Freddie Koo noted the GIOC is a testament that when we pool resources and expertise through joint efforts, a whole lot more can be achieved. And that's the news. We invite you to join us for another newscast on Thursday, June 13th here on Ctv3 and Fiesta FM 106.7. Remember that to read a text version of the news, you can visit our website at ctv3belizenews.com. You can also log on to our Facebook page for current stories at facebook.com/ctv3belizenews or our YouTube channel at Ctv3 News BZ. Remember to wash your hands and remain safe. From all of us here at Ctv3 News, thank you for watching and listening. Good night.